Welcome out to the show tonight, guys. This is Studio 321. This is your podcast host, Eddie B, coming to you from the 321. So look, I got a warning for the Republican Party and the whole conservative movement. You know, I'm starting to see things that are little things that are starting to happen. You know, I've seen it before. The Democrats just went through it, and I think they need to take a minute and start looking at this and understand, the point that I'm going to make here. So what is a real conservative or a Republican, at that? If you walked around the street and you asked most people, they wouldn't know the definition of it. They wouldn't, and it's the same on the other side. What is a progressive? Most people, they wouldn't know. They just feel like they align with the party in certain ways. But this is the thing, and I'm gonna get to the problem here in just a minute. But I just want to break it down for a minute. So the Republican Party, now they have taken over. And look, I'm an independent pretty much. I usually lean conservative. I usually vote for Republicans, the majority of the time. But this is the thing. You're starting to see these pundits coming out, and it's always the talking heads and the academic types, and they're so annoying. Now they're coming out with their lists and their spiral notebooks, and they're talking about they're defining what conservatives are and what Republicans are, and if you don't check every one of these boxes, then you're not in their group. And here's the thing: first of all, those people are idiots. Okay, they're short-sighted, and they don't understand, the way people really are. And I'll give you an example why. I work in the bar nightclub business, always have, so I work with and have been around tons of different kinds of people, all kinds of people, more than most folks are around. And all walks of life. I work with gay folks, lesbian folks, straight, redneck, black, Hispanic, I mean, you name it, and truthfully, we all get together and we have a great time. We're all friends. There's no problems, none of that stuff. And everybody has their different opinions about things, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? There's we argue amongst each other sometimes. It doesn't really get too heated, but we have different ideas. But this is the thing. So if you ask me, why would I vote conservative or Republican most of the time? To me, it comes down to just a few basic things. Number one, I'm a patriot. Okay. I value my family. I want low taxes. I want limited government because I feel like I'm a very independent person. I don't like people looking into all my stuff all the time and like looking over my shoulder. I feel like I'm an adult. I follow the laws. I try to do things the right way, and I feel like I don't like to be stared at for no reason. It's like when you get pulled over by the cops and you didn't do anything wrong, it pisses you off, right? Because you didn't do anything wrong, and you feel like it's intrusion. Well, it's the same kind of thing. I feel like I'm an adult. Leave me alone. I'll live my life correct, and let me do my thing. But there's a lot of people that I know, and I'm a straight white male, right? So I guess I fit right into that conservative or Republican or independent conservative leaning box. Okay, so but I work with tons of people who don't fit into any of those boxes, and they still voted for Donald Trump, and have voted Republican in the past. And so you have to ask yourself, well, what is the definition of conservative? I mean, why does it even mean anything? It doesn't. Okay. There's just a few things that it really embodies that people find important for them. And I'm sure it's the same on the other side. But what I'm trying to say is it is very dangerous to start, demonizing people within your own group and your own voting block because of the little differences they have, with you. And I'm starting to see a little bit of that. And it's super annoying. It's like it's like when the left came out and started picking on Democrats, and kind of pushed mainline Democrats into the dark. And what happened to that party? It got basically destroyed. Now the left is in charge. They all look like kooks. Nobody can really relate to them except them. And it's destroying that party. But there is also that danger on the right. Okay? Because we do have, the religious zealots who are just constantly like trying to preach to you. You have the and look, there's nothing wrong with being Christian or any other religion, but you know what I mean when I say, there's the people that just can't leave other people alone. They start, and I see it online all the time right now. Oh, you're going to hell, you're doing this, you're doing that. Oh, you don't believe this exact way. You're not a conservative. You don't believe this exact way. If you continue to do that, what you do is you're going to push those people into the dark as well that are in, that are voting Republican. And then what happens is you push all the sensible people into the dark, and what you end up with is a bunch of nutbags. And that's exactly what has happened to the Democrat Party. And they're dealing with that. And over time, I think they will, probably fix most of that, or they'll suffer every election going forward. But there's a lesson to be learned from that. Okay, so again, I have a couple really close friends. One close friend I have is a lesbian, super nice, works very hard, owns a business, doesn't fit into your normal Republican box, right? You wouldn't think, oh, this like if you saw her on the street, you would think, no, this girl's like she's a progressive or a Democrat. She's not. Okay, she's in our party, and she's a great person. And when you start when the zealots come out and all the extremists, the Republican conservative extremists, they walk around with a list in their hand about every box you better check off or you're not one of us. When you start letting those people's voice get out there and go mainstream, you start alienating, the people like my friend. Okay, and there's a lot of them. There's actually way more of them than you realize. I have friends that are not religious at all. They don't really just pay attention to any religion, and they're very hardcore conservative supporters. I have black friends, you know what I mean, that are in the same boat. And so I think it's something that, you really have to be careful and kind of monitor your own party, I think it's dangerous. I don't, look, it's kind of like to each their own, and you got to let people, let them be. You've got a lot of gays voted for Trump this time. Okay. Are we going to allow the people in the Republican Party, the extremists and the notepad carriers to start bashing them? No, we shouldn't. If this is going to be an inclusive family, we'll call it, of a voting block of people who want, basic, good American qualities. We all value family. We all want the American dream, patriot, being a patriot, stuff like that. Whatever religion you follow, we can't let the religions start fighting with each other over, oh, if you're not a Christian, you're not a conservative. Because look, I know plenty of Muslims who have voted for Donald Trump as well. So again, if you feel strongly that way, then I'm going to say you should keep that to yourself, honestly, because everybody has space within this movement. Okay. And when you start calling people out and Xing people out and, oh, this group shouldn't be in our movement and this group shouldn't be in our movement. If they voted for Trump, they should be in the movement, period. I don't care. There's room for them. They did it for, they obviously have some common ground and some common goals that the rest of us have, right? If you looked at me on paper, I'm not a conservative, and I'm really more of an independent anyways, but the point is, if you looked at me on paper, you'd probably think because I'm a kind of a liberal socially. I'm definitely fiscally a conservative. I'm in the middle on some things, but I'm a common sense person. I tend to err with conservatives on most stuff nowadays because has become a party of common sense right now. But a lot of stuff in the past, I thought that from past administrations, I didn't like. Um, Stuff that I always thought hurt America, like okay, the free trade, for example, right? There's a lot of old school Republicans, mostly. They're just stuck on this absolute free trade all the time. Don't put any tariffs, never put anything. It's just free, 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 back and forth between the countries. Well, that kind of thinking is what is destroying our economy. It's why American workers don't have jobs and everybody with skills is in China. It's because they've taken the jobs. But that's a whole nother topic. But the point I'm getting at is, you know, I don't believe in that type of free trade. So does that mean I'm not a conservative and I can't vote Republican? You see what I'm saying? There's lots of people out there. It's a very diverse coalition, um, and I think to hold that coalition together, we need to respect everybody that's in that coalition. The people. Well, look. Let me back that up for a second. Respect everybody, anyways. I mean, even people that I don't like on the progressive side and like the liberals, they tend to get on my nerves. I'm not going to treat them badly, is what I'm saying. But the people in our own group, we need to show them respect, that they're included because there are differences. And again, I'm in the business. I'm in nighttime business where I meet tons and tons of people, and I'm always talking to people, and it's amazing. I meet I worked in a strip club business a lot as well, and I meet dancers and I meet all kinds of people that you would swear are just liberals, and they're not. They're Trump supporters, and to X those people out of the party and because of and again usually it's a small group of people that they're kind of extremists and they start trying to take account of who once your party wins they start running around taking account of actually who is in the party and oh no you're not a conservative and you're not a Republican and you're not this and you're not that. Those people need to be shut down, man, because again, this is a great coalition. It's really, in my mind, the most powerful one I've ever seen. But it will start to fracture if you allow the people, the mouthy people, to come out and just start, making decisions on who's allowed and who isn't allowed in the party. And look, we just saw 4 years of that. Well, actually 8 years of it, to be honest, because the progressive liberal movement in the Democrat Party, they started, basically cleaning the ranks of all their regular Democrats. Like if you're not liberal enough and you're not progressive enough and you're not with this part of it, the party, then you can't be in the party at all. And they started basically, they weren't kicking them out, but silencing them and putting them kind of in the dark. And what you end up with is, number one, you end up losing a lot of your voters. And number two, what you do is you create, complete fractures in between the party. Now, I said this before in another podcast, but there's in years and years past, if you took a regular Democrat and a regular Republican, there wouldn't be a whole lot of difference between them. You're arguing on things like trade and simple stuff, abortion, stuff like that. But nowadays, it's like it's a world between the parties. Like conservatives can't stand liberals, liberals can't stand conservatives. You put them in a room, there might be a fight. Now, we all know who's going to win that fight because but I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but you know we've watched them destroy their own party, and that's how they did that, by those little creeps coming out of the darkness with their little, like I'm calling them spiral notebooks, taking notes on who in their own party doesn't belong in their party. And they slowly went down the list, and these people get out of control because they're extremists, right? And we have them in the Republican Party and their conservative movement as well. It's the same thing, you know. And they'll go down their little lists and they'll start attacking groups within their own ranks and alienating these people. So what do these people do? They go, well, okay, I was a Democrat, but now I can't relate to the party anymore. So let me see what the Republicans and conservatives have to offer. And they're over here saying, hey, come on in, come hang with us, listen to what we have to say. And then you pick up a voter. Now, we saw that happen a ton of times during this past election. There was a bunch of stuff online. You would have these liberals would go to a Trump rally to see what it was like. Now they had been told that all Trump people are like these flaming killer racists, and we're gonna beat you up if we see you at a Trump rally and all this crazy stuff, right? So they would go. Usually, a lot of podcasters did it. They would go and they would film themselves at the rally and talk about it and talk about their experience. Well, what it ended up being is a lot of them basically said, look, this ain't what I was told. These are nice people. They're great people. And I'm going to give them a second look, And that's what you do to people when you start to alienate them out of your own party. They go to the other side. They look around and they say, hey, man, these people are welcoming me. And, I'm gonna give them a second look. So that's kind of what I'm trying to get back to. I'm wanted to put a warning out to the Republican Party and the conservative movement. More the conservative movement, I want to call it, because there's a lot of independents in there as well. Which again, I'm one of them. And if I sat in a room with one of these right-wing extremists, again, little pencil pushers, and checked all the boxes off, I wouldn't fit in their party according to them. But again, that's what I'm trying to say. They shouldn't get to make that decision. Okay. I have my reasons why I vote conservative. I believe it's a better form of government. I believe it's a more fiscally responsible type of government. But I don't believe in absolute free trade, because that'll destroy a government like ours. It'll destroy a country. Now, if we had $3 an hour workers and China sweatshops with no regulation, well, yeah, free trade's fine. But a country like ours, who has regulation and minimum wage and all the things, well, we have to be careful about free trade, because we can't compete against countries with no regulation. But again, that's a sidebar. So I'm just trying to say that we have to be careful about who we let take the microphone and the mantle in this movement, and don't let them push people into the dark that are in our movement. There's plenty of I call them like oddball conservative people who don't actually fit into the party as a what you would call a conservative, and I'm kind of one of them. But there's a lot of us. There's a ton of us, a lot more than people realize. And again, any one of these people if you ask them, hey, why are you conservative, or what is the definition of a conservative, they wouldn't know it. They don't know. Normal folks ain't got time to even worry about that stuff. It's always the talking heads and the academics on TV, and they're spitting all their definitions at you about it and stuff. But what it actually is, and that you're actually not one, that none of that matters. Okay. This is a movement. It's a movement for the people. It's a populist movement. It's under the conservative umbrella. Okay. And, we need to remember to welcome all people in this movement. Make room for people, even people who you wouldn't think would fit into this movement, have supported this movement, and they deserve respect for it. But anyways, guys, if you like my video, please like and subscribe. please hit that subscribe button. It helps my show, and you know, let's keep on rolling. So this is Eddie B from Studio 321. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.